name is Allie, and this is Allie Stitches, a YouTube channel about cross stitch. If you're not familiar with Flosstube, you can search on YouTube Flosstube videos and find it all there. It's a community of cross stitchers and other crafters who just want to share their projects and share their love of cross stitch. So this is my first Flosstube video. I'm recording this on December 6th, 2020. Today is the Feast of St. Nicholas, so in the spirit of Christmas, I thought I'd share all of my Christmas or winter related projects. So with that, I'll dive right in. I figured today I'll show, my projects and what I'm working on, and then maybe in a future video I can share just a little bit more about myself. So without further ado, the first project I'll be showing is December, A Year in Chalk by Hands On Design, Kathy Haberman. It says Peace on Earth. And I started this on December 2nd, so I do not have it done yet, but I am working on it. So this is what I have. I started in the middle and kind of came down, and so now I just need to finish the house. There is a little bit of red in it, so I'll kind of work that in as well, and then I'll head back up and do the top half. I'm stitching this on Belfast linen in the color charcoal, and the pattern does call for a few Gentle Arts threads, but I'm just using DMC Blanc, and then I don't know if I've picked out the red yet that I'll be using, so I'll pick that out later, but I'll just pick out, just a DMC red instead of getting the Gentle Arts threads. Yeah. So that's the first project. The second one I'll be sharing was actually a stitch along. One second while I get it out here. All right, it's a stitch along. It was a stitch along with Caterpillar cross stitch. It's called Hello Dear. And it's a tree that has just kind of a lot of fun motifs in it. So this was a 5-part stitch along, each part released 2 weeks away from each other. I didn't quite keep up with it for each part, getting them all done before the next one came out. So I'm almost done with part 3, I believe, potentially onto part 4, but not very far. Can't remember exactly. Yeah, here it is. Not ironed. Sorry about that. But as you can see, I have most of the top of the tree done, and then parts 4 and 5 are really just the bottom and the trunk of the tree, and then there is a deer and some presents at the bottom. But that is what I have done so far. So this is Belfast linen in white. I got this at Hobby Lobby, where almost all my other fabric I've just ordered from 123 Stitch. But this one's from Hobby Lobby, and then this pattern called for DMC threads, so that is what I'm using as well for that. Just the called for colors. So yeah, that stitch along started at the end of September and was released in parts every 2 weeks. So the last part was released several weeks ago now. I can't remember the exact date, but slowly inching along myself there. Another stitch along I signed up for just started here at the end of November, and this one is going to have parts released about once a month, basically through the next year, and it's a Christmas related stitch along. So over the course of the year, each part will form a wreath. So it's the Christmas Wreath Club from Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. So this is part 1, so that's all that's come out. They have not come out with part 2 yet, but I have part 1 all stitched up, so it's a little bit of a house, and there's Santa coming out of the chimney. Sorry, I can't see what I'm showing here. Santa coming out of the chimney, and then Rudolph on top of the house as well, holding some presents. And this is Belfast linen in the color Gingerbread, and this is not the called for fabric. This is a bit darker than the called for fabric. So as you can see, Rudolph's skin kind of, fur I guess, kind of blends in a little bit to the fabric. It actually shows up better here, but in person it blends in a little bit more. So I might be picking that out and changing it into a darker color later if I decide that it blends too much, but for now I'm kind of keeping it. So we'll see how that goes. But otherwise I do like the color choice for the fabric. I think it'll go really well with the rest of the colors that are called for in the pattern, but we'll just see how it all stitches up. But yeah, so it's going to be a fairly big piece. I have some left over on this edge, but otherwise the piece is about as big as I need it to be. The middle is going to be I think about the top of the house is where the middle of the design is. So, and then the very last part of the stitch along is actually like the last clue, if you will be released, and it's actually a tutorial on how to finish the project into a pillow. So that'll be fun, and I think I'll probably do that just based on the size and kind of what it is. But we'll see when that time comes. But that'll be almost a year away now before I think the pillow tutorial will come out, I believe in like September of next year. So when that comes out, it'll be, you know, be a long time from now. So we'll see what kind of comes of that. So that's that project. The next one I'll share is from Cottage Needleworks, Snow Village. This is an 11-part series, and I have all 11 charts for the series. There is one center chart called Snow Village. So that goes in the middle. If you were to stitch it all kind of in one piece as kind of as presented as an option, this would go in the middle, and then the other 10 parts would kind of surround that middle chart. So this is about twice as big as the other charts. So you can see all of the rest of the charts are about this big, and they all have these little kind of shops. So this is the Peppermint Parlor shop. This is the Frozen Hot Chocolate shop. There's a few like stands and carts. So this is the Popsicle Cart. Just really cute, fun winter. So they're more winter designs, not Christmas, but they are really fun. Yeah, so that's the series, and I have stitched one of the series so far. Not the banner yet. I'm gonna wait maybe to do a little bit to do the banner, Snow Village banner. But I have stitched what was called the Skate and Sled Shop. So this, I have this on a 32 count linen. So all Belfast linen is 32 count. I don't think this is technically Belfast. I don't know the definitions, I guess, for sure. But this is 32 count linen, and the color is called Misty Blue. And I bought this at an LNS in Wisconsin, and she made it sound like they weren't making this color anymore. So I don't know if you can even get it anywhere. But anyway, it's a slight blue. It's really pretty. A little bit darker than I think than the called for. Kind of a grayish blue fabric that's called for. And then the threads on this are a mix of DMC and classic colorworks. So there's a few parts that call for the classic colorworks, including the roof. So you can see that calls for hickory sticks, so it has that variegated kind of lines to it, which is really cool. And then the door and the siding of, I want to say house, but of the shop call for the classic colorworks. And I wasn't quite stitching with them properly for those two parts. That's a whole nother story about stitching with them properly, but really just to get the best look to the variegation. I did do it properly for the roof though, so that you can see kind of the proper way to get the variegation coming through on that. But yeah, so I have this one done. I have not started any of the other ones yet, but it'll be an exciting one to keep working on even in January and February, since they are just kind of more winter snow patterns and such. So the next piece I'm working on is part of the Hands-on Design Chock Full series. So this is Mary. And really there's actually two designs in this. There's the jar with the little Santa heads, and then there's this little Mary, small is what she calls it. So it's just a little, very little piece. Just says the word Mary and has Santa on it with in his sled. So I'm working on the jar piece right now. I'm not very far on it, but this is kind of the progress I have. So I've started to stitch some of the beards of Santa, some of the greenery that's in there as well. So not a big start on this, a fair amount of stitching, I guess, but in the grand scheme of the whole project, not too far. But that'll be a fun one to work on here in the next coming weeks with Christmas. This is also the Belfast linen in charcoal. I believe that's what Nell at Little Yellow House Crafts used for all of her chalkboard designs, and I really like how hers have turned out, so that's what I decided to do as well. Is that charcoal Belfast linen. And then the threads called for are mostly classic Colorworks. I think the white that Kathy uses for all of her designs for these chalkboards is Gentle Arts chalk, but I'm just using DMC Blanc for those. And then I'm going to kind of just base it on which colors feel like the fancy floss, the classic Colorworks seems more appropriate. So I think I got the really tealy, which is for the jar, and then whatever the red is, I'll probably try to get that for like Santa's hats and things, and that just because you can see the variation or the variegation more in those parts of the pattern versus even the greenery. I feel like I don't feel as great of a need to do the fancy floss. So I'm just using DMC for those, but that's the start I have on that. All right, so the next project I want to share is called Winter Wonderland, and this is a stitch along hosted by Shiloh at XStitchMD. She encouraged people to purchase it and stitch along with her since she was going to be starting the project. But you can just buy the pattern outright, either on the Silk Stitching app, which I believe is like an iOS only app, but it's kind of a newer app, for Apple devices. Or you can also purchase the pattern elsewhere, I think on the designer's website. I'll include that information in the description because I am forgetting who the designer is, or definitely how to pronounce their name at this moment. But yeah, so the pattern is called Winter Wonderland, and it's a pretty big, like a sampler type of project. It only calls for 3 colors, kind of the primary color being like white, and then there's 2 shades of red as little accents to it. So the piece is rather large, and I am only this far on it. The stitch along started on November 1st, and I wanted to keep up with the stitch along, but the thing with the Silk Stitching app is it does tell you how many stitches. You can keep track, kind of like Pattern Keeper for those who are familiar with Pattern Keeper on Android devices. I do not have an Android device, so I'm not familiar really with the app, but I know people can keep track of the stitches that they've done, they've completed, and then it'll tell you, how many stitches, what % you're done, and things like that. So I think when I started on November 1st, I determined, how many stitches I would need to get done per day to have it done by Christmas. And when I wasn't keeping up with that, or it was very difficult to keep up with that at least, I got very discouraged and so kind of stopped working on it. So I have been working on other things, trying to get, I'm still trying to finish up some fall stuff at the beginning of November. I have other Christmas stuff I'm working on. So I do want to get this out actually, hopefully here soon, maybe done when I'm done with that December A Year in Chalk, and add it to the rotation a little bit again. But I know also part of me was not loving the fabric I chose. I chose light mocha, and this is Edinburgh linen, which is 36 count linen, but it's in the color light mocha. It's just a really pale beige. With the white, I not sure if I'm loving it. I don't hate it, but I'm not loving it either. When I added the red in, it definitely helped, but it's still, that white still is hard to see against that light mocha fabric. So I might, I don't know, I hate to say that I want to restart it, but I might be considering that before I, put, any more work into this one. If I think, restarting it on a darker fabric might just make me want to work on it a little bit more. So it might be one that I work on, well, definitely will be one that I'll work on like over the next year. Probably, hopefully we have it done by next Christmas, but we'll see if I restart it or not on a different fabric. All right, so the last project I want to share is the Brooke's Books Advent Animals, Brooke's Books Publishing. It's a series of 25 animals, each, leading up to Christmas, so it's an advent calendar of sorts. And so I have stitched the first of the 25 designs, and I've started the second one, but that's about as far as I've gotten so far. I actually started these back in August, but then I got very distracted by many other projects, so I'll probably be picking them up here even more throughout the month of December to hopefully make some more progress, finish at least the second one, if not maybe even a third. But yeah, so this is the first of the series. Her name is Katie. So Katie Kitty is the name of this design. And like I said, it's the first. And yeah, she's just very, very pretty. What I love about these designs is that they're very intricate in terms of the design, at least relative to other stuff I've done. I know, like, it's not even touching things like some intense hades or like Mirabilias, but for me this is pretty fairly intricate in terms of the designs, but still very simple overall. So this is the first design, Katie Kitty, and then I have started the second one, but I really haven't made it far. The second one is Peter Polar Bear. So as you can see, I'm not very far on it. I just have one of his legs done. And then, yeah, like I said, kind of got distracted by all sorts of other designs and everything I explored. But now that it is December and it is Christmas, I'm hoping to make more progress on this. So there's that. This is Blue Spruce Belfast Linen. So that's the fabric. And then all the called for DMC threads. And like I said, this is Brooke's Books Publishing. You can find these patterns for free on her website. So I'll put that website in the description below, but you can find all of them there. Yeah. And then, so that's the last project I had to show, but I do have one other thing to show, kind of somewhat like haul, even though I'm not quite to the point of having regular kind of sections of Flosstube videos yet. But I went to an LNS not too long ago, and I really didn't need a whole lot, but when I walked in the door, they gave me a 40% off coupon, like my entire purchase. So I had to buy a few things, obviously. That's a really good deal. So one of the patterns I purchased is a Christmas pattern. I probably won't start it until next year just because I do have a lot of Christmas and winter things now, but didn't think it was a bad idea to add it to my stash. So this is the Little Bits of Christmas by the Drawn Thread. Just a fair amount of a glare there, so I'll take it out here. But what I really like about this pattern, or this chart, is that really it's a lot of like individual motifs or, words, all these designs that are kind of in a certain dimension, size, that then you can kind of mix and match and piece together to make different designs with what you like. This is a 3x3. There's this one design that has the word Christmas across, but then, each of the other pictures is kind of their own motif and own thing. So I like that you can mix and match and kind of make something that you like. You can also turn all of these different motifs into some ornaments. So that's really what drew me to this chart, is that there's just a lot I can do with it, even if I haven't quite decided with what I want to do yet. So I have the chart. I did not kit up the project just since I know I won't be starting it anytime really soon. So I thought that part could wait. But yeah, that's the other design. I guess my puppy, or not so much a puppy anymore, but Mulligan, my dog, would like to make an appearance on Flosstube. Hey, look over here. What's over here? There's Mulligan. Yeah. So hopefully everybody can give Mulligan a nice Flosstube welcome. He is excited to be on the video with his mama. He's got his little Christmas scarf. Excited for the season like his mama. Yeah, so that's about all I have to share. Oh, I have one more thing. I've been seeing a lot of really cool, needle minders and really talented needle minder makers out in the cross stitch community, or the embroidery community in general. And so I actually made my own needle minder with some things that I found at Hobby Lobby, or one thing I suppose that I found at Hobby Lobby. So this was actually a pendant. They had kind of a display of like Christmas jewelry or jewelry pieces. So I actually found this pendant. Hopefully you can see it fairly well. Really has like a nice little, little rhinestones. So they really like shimmer. And yeah, it's just got a little loopy on it. So it's really a pendant for a necklace. But what I did is I glued using E6000 glue, a few magnets to the back. I had to glue a few of them since there was kind of a dip in it, but just a few to the back. And then I have one other magnet here that I'm holding that I use to then magnet it to my cross stitch pieces. And then that can be used as a needle minder. I also have a needle with some thread on it here. As you can see, it holds pretty well. All right, so that is it for my Christmas sharing. I did want to just give some shout outs to all the Flosstubers that I've watched that have really led me to this point, particularly Nell from Little Yellow House Crafts. She was actually the first Flosstuber that I really watched all the videos. I was searching some different things about cross stitch, kind of like how to wash your piece, or how to store your DMC floss, or some things like that. And so I think I stumbled across, Nell's cross stitch stuff storage video, and then, got swept away with all of the rest of her Flosstube videos. That's really how I was introduced to Flosstube. So just, thank you to Nell, and a shout out to her for, really getting me into this journey. Another person I want to, specifically give a shout out to is Rocio from Cocohamas Stitchery. She made a video on, how to start a Flosstube channel, and, number one tip is just do it. So I want to thank Rocio as well for, just encouraging me to do the thing. A few of the other channels that I watch pretty regularly, or, keep up on their videos, are ElizabethAnnCanStitch, Noah Stitches, Carla from Roladex Stitches, I believe her name is Amanda from Birch and Lily, Shiloh from XStitchMD, Kathleen with Stitchuation Normal, Julie Nicely, Yamir from Almond MnMs, Sheri from Colorado Cross Stitcher, and then a few of the ones that I've kind of been watching but haven't really caught up on all of their videos. So Priscilla and Chelsea, Real Housewives of Cross Stitch. I'm sure many people know them, but they have so many videos, and so I haven't quite watched them all yet. And then Megan, Georgia Girl Stitching, watch her. And then I just started watching Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World, so Julie. Started watching a few of her videos, but have a lot of her videos yet to catch up on, but I'm really excited to watch her videos as well. So yeah, those are my shout outs I wanted to give, and thank you again to this community, and hopefully everybody has a great December and a great Christmas season, and can't wait until next time. Thank you.